A hot dog and a soda for $1.50. A whole rotisserie chicken for about $5. A cart piled so high it barely rolls for a fraction of what the same haul would cost anywhere else. Costco has somehow become famous for one thing above all others. It is cheap. Genuinely. Almost suspiciously cheap. Cheaper than the giant supermarkets. Cheaper than the online giants on all sorts of everyday things. So here is the question that makes no sense. How does a company sell you so much, so cheaply, and still make billions of dollars in profit? Retail is supposed to work on markups, and Costco has almost thrown the markup away. Today we are breaking down exactly why Costco is so cheap, drawn simply, no hype and no jargon. If you like understanding money without the hype or the jargon, subscribe. That is exactly what I make here. And stick around, because the biggest secret is this. Costco barely makes money selling you groceries at all. The real profit comes from somewhere you probably walked straight past on your way in. Let us start with the most shocking number, the one that flips the whole business on its head. A normal store lives on markup. It buys a product for $1 and sells it for $1.50, or $2, sometimes far more. That markup is how it pays for everything and makes a profit. Across retail, markups of 25, 40, even 50% are completely normal. Costco made a radical decision. It caps its markup on most products at around 14 or 15%, and often less. There are internal rules that stop its buyers from marking things up beyond a strict limit, even when they easily could, even when customers would happily pay more. Read that again. On most of what it sells, Costco deliberately refuses to charge you much more than it paid. It is selling to you at close to its own cost, on purpose. So if the products are barely marked up, they are clearly not where the profit is hiding. Which raises the obvious question. Then, how on earth does it make money? Here is the answer, and it is the single most important idea in this whole video. Costco is not really a store. It is a membership club that happens to have a store attached. To shop there at all, you first have to pay a yearly membership fee, around $65 for a basic membership, around $130 for the premium tier. Now multiply that by well over 100 million members all over the world, paying every single year just for the right to walk in. That river of membership money is the secret. A huge share of Costco's actual profit does not come from selling you food and televisions. It comes from those annual fees. In many years, the membership fees alone are worth close to the company's entire profit, which means the retail side is running at almost break even. Suddenly, everything makes sense. Costco can afford to sell you products at barely above cost because it already made its money the moment you paid to become a member. The low prices are not how it profits. The low prices are the bait that makes the membership worth buying and worth renewing year after year. And people do renew. The share of members who renew each year sits somewhere around 90%, an astonishing loyalty number for any business. That is the whole model working exactly as designed. Give people prices so good they would feel foolish to give up the card, and they will happily pay that fee again and again. It has flipped the entire logic of retail. A normal store profits from the products. Costco profits from the membership and uses jaw-dropping prices to keep you loyal enough to keep paying it. But cheap membership economics alone would not be enough if the products themselves were not genuinely cheap to stock. So how does Costco get its costs so low in the first place? This is the second layer, and it is all about ruthless simplicity. Walk into a normal supermarket and it might carry 30,000 different products. 20 kinds of ketchup? 40 kinds of shampoo, a dozen brands of every single thing. Walk into Costco and it carries only around 4,000. 1 or 2 options per thing, usually in a giant size. This sounds like a limitation. It is actually a superpower. Because Costco only stocks a few products, it buys each one in colossal quantities. And when you walk up to a supplier and offer to buy a mountain of their product, more than almost anyone else on earth, you have enormous power to demand the lowest possible price. Fewer products, bought in bigger piles, means far cheaper buying. It also means less of everything else. Less shelf space to manage, less waste, fewer workers needed to handle thousands of odd items, simpler deliveries. The simplicity cuts cost at every single step. And then there is Costco's secret weapon sitting right on the shelves, its own brand, Kirkland Signature. Costco takes the products people buy most and makes its own version, often manufactured in the very same factories as the famous name brands, and sells it for noticeably less. Because it controls this brand completely, the margins are better and the price to you is lower. But here is the clever part that most people miss. Just having a high-quality store brand on the shelf next to the name brands quietly forces those name brands to keep their own prices down. They know that if they charge too much, Costco will simply point more customers toward its own cheaper version sitting right beside them. The store brand is both a cheap product and a weapon that disciplines every other price in the aisle. And then there is the building itself, which is quietly part of the trick. Costco does not look like a nice store, and that is on purpose. It is a bare, concrete warehouse. The products sit on towering industrial shelves, often still stacked on the wooden pallets they were delivered on. There are no fancy displays, no elaborate decorations, no mood lighting, no one restocking a pretty shelf one bottle at a time. When a pallet sells out, a forklift drops another one in its place. That plainness is money saved. Every dollar a normal store spends making itself look beautiful is a dollar that has to be added onto the price of its products. Costco skips almost all of it and passes the saving on to you, which again makes the membership feel worth it. It saves in another surprising place too. Costco barely advertises. Think about how rarely you see a Costco commercial compared to the endless ads from other stores. Traditional retailers spend fortunes on marketing, and that cost ends up baked into their prices. Costco lets its low prices and its loyal members do the advertising for it by word of mouth and pockets the saving, or rather, passes it back to you. Now here is something that feels backwards. Costco is famous for paying its workers unusually well, with higher wages and better benefits than most retailers. You would think that would make everything more expensive. It does the opposite, because when you pay people well, they stay. Costco's staff turnover is remarkably low for retail. That means less money constantly spent hiring and training new people, more experienced workers who move faster and waste less, and a smoother operation overall. And because the warehouse is so simple and the products so few, each employee handles an enormous amount of sales. Fewer, better paid, longer staying workers who each move a mountain of product turn out to be cheaper than an army of underpaid ones who keep quitting. Good treatment is not charity here, it is efficiency. Now let us talk about the famous cheap stuff. The hot dog and the chicken, because those are not even trying to make a profit. The $1.50 hot dog and soda combo has stayed at that exact price for decades, since the 1980s, even as the cost of everything else has soared. The company has openly, almost stubbornly, refused to raise it. The $5 rotisserie chicken is priced so low that the company reportedly loses money on each one it sells, and it sells an astonishing number of them. Why would any business deliberately lose money on a product? Because these are what retailers call loss leaders. They are bait. The impossibly cheap chicken and hot dog become legendary. People talk about them, they come in for them, and while they are there, they fill a cart with hundreds of dollars of other things, and, crucially, they renew that membership because it feels like the best deal in town. A few dollars lost on a chicken buys a loyalty that is worth far more. There is also a psychological game being played with how the store is stocked, and it has a name. The treasure hunt. Alongside the everyday basics, Costco constantly rotates in surprising one-off deals. A designer jacket, a kayak, a slab of premium electronics, here this week and gone the next. Because you never quite know what treasures you will find, and because you know they will not last, every trip feels a little exciting and a little urgent. That urgency makes you buy the thing now rather than think about it, and it makes you come back more often just to see what is new. It is a brilliant way to turn a boring warehouse into a place people actually look forward to visiting. And backing all of it is a famously generous return policy. Costco will take back almost anything, almost any time, with very little fuss. That generosity removes the fear from every purchase. If buying is risk-free, you buy more, and you trust the membership more, and you renew. There is one more quiet piece of financial genius worth understanding, because it is invisible from the aisle. Costco sells its products incredibly fast. Because it stocks so few items and prices them so low, that giant pallet of goods often flies out the door in a matter of days. Here is the clever part. Costco usually gets to sell you the product and collect your money before it has even paid the supplier who provided it. It is using the time gap between selling the goods and paying for them to effectively fund its own business with other people's inventory. High volume, fast turnover, and smart timing mean the whole machine runs on remarkably little of its own money. Now look at what sits outside the warehouse, in the parking lot. The gas station. Costco is famous for some of the cheapest fuel around, and there is almost always a line. But here is the catch that makes it genius. You usually have to be a member to buy that cheap gas. So the fuel becomes another magnet, pulling people to the warehouse again and again, several times a month. Each visit another chance to walk inside and fill a cart, and another reason the membership feels essential. The cheap gas barely makes money on its own. Its real job is to keep dragging you back and to make giving up the card unthinkable. The little food court does the same job. That $1.50 hot dog, the cheap slice of pizza, the soft serve ice cream, it is not there to make a profit. It is there to reward the trip, to give families a reason to linger, to turn a chore into a small outing, and to burn the legend of Costco value into your memory one more time. The story behind that hot dog price says everything about the whole company. For decades, the combo has stayed at $1.50. At some point, as costs rose, someone apparently suggested to the longtime boss that maybe it was time to raise the price. The response has become legend. He reportedly told them, "If you raise the price of the hot dog, I will kill you." He was joking mostly, but the message underneath was deadly serious. That impossible price is not really about a hot dog. It is a promise to the customer, a symbol that says this is a place that will always, stubbornly, be on your side. Break that promise for a few extra cents, and you crack the trust that the entire membership depends on. It is cheaper to lose money on hot dogs forever than to make customers wonder if the magic is gone. Even the annoying parts of a Costco trip are quietly about cost. Think about the person at the exit who checks your receipt against your cart. It feels like they are accusing you of stealing. What they are really doing is protecting those razor-thin margins. When you only mark products up 14%, you cannot afford to lose much to theft or to checkout mistakes, so a quick glance at the door plugs a leak that a normal high markup store could afford to ignore. Every tiny bit of waste squeezed out is another tiny bit. The price can stay low. And notice which credit cards Costco accepts. For a long time, it has struck exclusive deals to accept only one card network, and the reason is the same relentless logic. Every time you swipe a card, the store pays a small fee to the card company. On normal margins, that fee is a nuisance. On Costco's tiny margins, it is a serious cost. So, by promising all its millions of transactions to a single card network, Costco negotiates those swipe fees down to the bone, and once again passes the savings straight back into the price you pay. Nothing is left on the table. Every fraction of a percent is hunted down. So let us put the whole thing together, because it is beautifully simple once you see it. Costco is a membership club wearing the costume of a store. It makes most of its real profit from over 100 million annual membership fees, renewed by around 90% of members, not from marking up products. So it caps its markups brutally low and sells you goods at close to cost, because the low prices are what make the membership worth buying and renewing. It keeps those costs rock bottom by stocking only a few thousand products, buying each in enormous quantities for maximum bargaining power, leaning on its own Kirkland brand to discipline every price, running a bare warehouse, barely advertising, and paying its workers well so they stay efficient. It uses legendary loss leaders like the $1.50 hot dog and the $5 chicken, plus a rotating treasure hunt and a fearless return policy to pull you in and keep you loyal. And it sells everything so fast that it often gets you money before it has to pay for the goods. Every layer serves one goal: keep the prices unbelievably low so that you happily keep paying the one price that actually matters, the membership. So why is Costco so cheap? Because cheap is not how it profits. Cheap is the marketing. You are not really the customer buying discounted groceries. You are a member, and the low prices are simply the reason you keep paying to belong. This is not me telling you to get a membership or skip it. If you buy in bulk and actually use it, it is often a genuinely great deal. It is just the machine, explained. So the next time you push that overflowing cart to the car, you understand exactly why it was all so cheap and what you were really paying for. If you want more of this, the hidden money behind the everyday places all around you, subscribe, because that is exactly what I do here. I break it all down, drawn simply. I will see you in the next one.